Hey travelers, you're watching Big Ol' Travels. We're at the new Bern Fireman's Museum, and we're gonna go inside and check it out. The new Bern 1897 fire bell. Moved it to City Hall later, but they replaced it because it was too small. And the bell is up here. There's a 9/11 memorial. Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Don't forget. And the Pentagon. The bear I posed with, we talked about earlier, there's these bears all over New Bern because Bern is Swedish for bear. But this specific bear is called the No Bern bear.
They just found this place was just lovely. So they named it New Bern instead of Bern from where they were from. That's Bern means bear in German. So that's why you see all these bears are around town. Okay, our city flag's got the bear on it. So that's kind of the history of New Bern. Welcome to our museum. It was established in 1955. It's a year older than the museum. Okay. Everything you see in here is unique to New Bern. These aren't reproductions. They're actually served in New Bern. It's amazing New Bern held on to this stuff. Okay? As I say, the museum was established in 1955. It wasn't in this building. This was the fire station at the time. It was a white building that's behind us. Okay? If you notice, we have 2 stairwells going upstairs. And we have 2 poles coming down. It's a pretty unique story that we'll get into. Okay? Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Excuse me, gentlemen.
You bet. Come on through.
One second on this.
Okay, so we'll go back to 1710, early 1700s. This was our firefighting apparatus. A leather bucket.
Wow.
Each house was required to have 2 with the 24-foot ladder.
This was written by one of our
Buildings at that time were over really 2 stories. Okay, so everybody was required to have 2 of these. Okay, no running water. Okay, so what you had was wells or cisterns. Okay, so if somebody yells fire and you're out there throwing the stuff on the wet on the hot. Okay. Eventually they developed.
Oh, he was on city council.
Yeah, it's a main hand pump. Pump down, just like your garden hose is about to pressure that. It would squirt and then stop because you pump for next stroke, it would squirt again, and squirt again, and squirt again. So, I guess by those standards, it was pretty cool. At least you could get it up higher. Okay. How did you get the water to this?
That's what I was going to ask.
Okay. Yes. So you had to fill this
Before you can.
before you could do it. Now, eventually, they developed.
Okay.
The pumps were better, so we could actually suction the water out of the cisterns that were located around town. We have a high water table here in New Bern, so you didn't have to go very far to strike water. So there were cisterns that were dug in strategic locations for drinking and for fire apparatus. Okay, so everything was good. This lasted. So about 1860. I guess it was 65 before they got
They're on the
these. So that's
we have our
over 100 years. Okay, they're using this. So you can imagine fires were pretty destructive. okay, trying to put something like that out, okay? And then you get into a city that you have where fire happens in your place, you're affecting your neighbors pretty bad. So we come up into 1860, Civil War starts, okay? At that point, the fire department was, if you look across the street over there, you'll see a three-story building. The second story, the windows are blocked out. See that over there? That was the firehouse. Okay? That's where they kept their hoses. That's where they kept these hand pumps. Civil War starts. Right? New Bern was an important port to the Confederacy. Also important to the Union because, as I said, it was a major manufacturing port. Okay, pitch, lumber, all that for shipbuilding. Okay, had a railroad. All right, so it was important for the Union to capture this. Okay, because the Confederacy was also receiving supplies like inland. Okay, North Carolina doesn't have many major ports. Okay, the waters on the coast are too shallow. So our major port right now is Morehead City, that's one, and Wilmington is really the only two ports we have in North Carolina. So it was pretty, the Union had to take this, which they did in 1862. It took them 6 hours.
Please come back. I will come back.
It took them 6 hours, okay? Our firefighters there, most of them left to join the Confederacy, okay? Burnt or broke as much stuff as they could on the way out of town, as you can imagine, okay? Union takes it over. Union says, well, the commanders at the time, we're not firefighters, we're fighters, okay? We don't know how to fight fires, so they passed that up the chain of command. And what they did was the government went to retired firefighters out in New York City, okay? Convinced a few of them to come down and teach the local populace that was left here. I guess some of the soldiers also had to fight fires. So that's what they did. Okay, well, New York guys, they get down here and they look at the stuff that's broken over there. They look at the hand pumps and they're like, this is crazy. Because at the time, what they had, they didn't have this. This is a later model. This was the state of the art, the Mosky. Okay, so the New York firefighters were grumbling, saying, "Hey, you need to get us something." Okay, which they did. Okay, bought them this. They moved into the firehouse. They're teaching people. Each neighborhood also had its own fire brigade. They're still using hand pumps around, but they actually had something they could, fight. In 1848, these other boys that were over here, they incorporated and had a charter with the city. Your fire department. He says, yes, you are. So they got a charter. Life is good. They need town. Okay. New York City guys come down. They charter also. Okay. We're your fire department. This was back 1865. I think. So we're your fire department. New Bern says, check. So the boys come back. The boys over. And everybody's off. One big happy family now. And who do they find in their firehouse? The ones that they've just been fighting. Okay? A bunch of Yankees sitting in their firehouse. Well, these guys go to the city council and say, we've got a charter. We're your fire department. Who are these guys? And these guys say, well, no, we're your fire department. Oh my. New Bern's in the quandary. What do? Okay, you're both our fire department. Okay? They built a new guy, the Yankees, made them, have them move out of there. They built a new one over by Mitchell's Harbor. I don't know if you guys have been over to Mitchell's Harbor.
I haven't been anywhere near there.
Okay, yeah. Well, across the street from Mitchell's Harbor, there's a building that has City Hall written above it. Okay? That was the fire department. It was fire department / City Hall that they built over there. New York guys moved over there. Okay? The New York guys were called New Bern Steam Fire Engine Company #1. Okay? The Southern guys were incorporated under the Atlantic Fire Department. Okay? So New Bern has 2 fire departments. Life is good, maybe? Maybe not. Okay? We'll continue that thought. These guys, the New York fellows, the steam company, took this out of there and moved it into their new firehouse. So that was probably caused a lot of animosity between the New York fellows and the Southern boys who just returned. Okay, which it did. About 3-4 years later, they finally, New Bern bought the Southern fellows a steam engine. We'll save it's back up in there. We don't have it out here. we'll take a look at that. So they finally, several years lag time, you know, caught up with these guys. In the meantime, later in the year, the one that you're seeing right now, this is called the Button. Okay, the Button steamer came down. The company brought it down and says, you know, here's the latest and greatest New Bern. What do you think? They set it up and did a demonstration. You can see the Episcopal Church steeple right across from there. Just threw a stream of water over that steeple. Whoa. So, you know, the New Bern Steam Fire Company #1 says, we like it. Okay, so they made a trade. They traded this in, okay, on this, and they allowed the company, the city, to make payments. So we had 3 steam engines, fire engines in the city. This one was traded in. We still have the other 2. Okay, let's slip around this way. We'll talk. That's what we're going to just talk about. Just like today's fire trucks, I mean, there's a pump. That's what we want to do. We want to pump water to the fire. Okay, so the pump is up there. All right, but how do we power that pump? Okay, this was steam. That's what they used. This is a steam boiler. Okay, powered by wood. Here's the wood box back here. And now think of it. This is cold right now. There's a fire across the street. We have to get over and fight that fire. Fire expands and about doubles in size every minute. Okay, so how do we get this steam up so that we can get the pump working? Okay, it's called a quick steam, is the term they use for it. How do we do that? Well, they come up with some ingenious ideas. In the wood, they drill holes. Excuse me. Fill it with gunpowder. Okay? They would put balloons with ether up in the tubes up inside here. So they would feed that air and go, whoop. It make quick. This has set the state record for quick steam. I think it's under 2 minutes. It's incredible. How many boilers they destroyed coming up with the mixture of gunpowder and how much ether? That's not in the records. Okay. This is a pumper only. The neat thing about it is it has a hose on it. It's a suction hose to be able to draw water out of these systems. Okay. So once you get it through the pump, you have to get it to the firehouse. So what we had is another one here. It was a hose line. Okay. It was 300 feet of hose, I think they carried. Okay. Both of them force drawn. Okay. This one has a state record also, 26 2/5 minutes. And what that record is, there was a guy right on the tailboard, look at that little bit, okay? He would jump off with a hose, plant its feet, and the horse would race on, paying out the hose, okay, till the end of it. So that's it, took him 26 2/5 seconds to do that, okay? This is the Atlantic Steam Fire Company #1 changed their name to the Button Company. When they bought that, they were so impressed with how much water that would put out that they changed the name of their fire company. So now the northern guys are known as the Button Company. Their colors are maroon and blue. Where do you think? I wonder where the blue came from. Okay. yeah, maroon and blue. So this is the unions or the Button Company's equipment. Okay, we have suction hose, we have distribution hose. If they needed any more, they had this hose reel back here. Okay, they had several hose reels. Hose reels were hand drawn. Okay, you had to be 18 to be in the fire department. So what they would do is the kids, the 18 and below, would be tasked with toting that. It took around 16 people to drag that down. Okay, the streets at that time were made of crushed oyster shell. So you can imagine those 2-inch wheels, you know, dragging that through crushed corals or crushed oyster shells was probably pretty unique. We talked about the Dalmatian. We have him up here. Then we think of the Dalmatian dog as the mascot of the fire department. Okay. Okay. Why do you think that is? Do we know?
I know.
Okay. They were actually called coach dogs. Why Budweiser has them? Coaches. Okay. The Dalmatian is very hard of hearing. Some will be born deaf. Okay, so the noise doesn't mess with them. They can't hear it basically. Okay, they're not distracted by it. They were very protective of their animals, and the horses really got along well with them. So as this thing is screaming down the road, there's a picture or hanging on the wall over here with this depiction of what that would look like. you can imagine the noise and the clatter and stuff like that. So all the neighborhood dogs are coming out. His job was to keep them away. Okay? Again, while the Budweisers use it, okay, all the dogs are coming out, so you know the coaches at that time, that's why they had this. He's also a mean dog. Okay, so later when we're done with these with the horses leave and we come up to the motorized, he was still kept around because as the fire apparatus leaves the firehouse, the doors are left open. It keeps the burglars out. So that's the history of why they.
Who knew?
Yeah,
That's really cool.
It's amazing. Okay. Step back here a little bit. The city provided the apparatus, but they got more money from these insurance companies. So they would come to your house, you have a plaque on the outside, they say, yep, okay, we're going to fight the fire. No plaque, we don't fight the fire.
What?
Okay? These guys are fighting en route to the fire over who's going to get paid, because the insurance company's only going to pay one company, not both. Okay, so there's fist fights going on, and who's fighting this fire out, okay? A lot of times the fights are so great that the fire doesn't get put out because they're brawling between each other. So, you know, the citizens are going, Newbern, come on, we got to do something about this fire company, okay? Your fire department here. So Newbern says, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to build a new building, this one. Okay, we're moving you out over there, we're moving you out of the one over by Mitchell's Harbor, you're moving into here. Okay, we have everything set up for you. Here's the Button side. Here's the Atlantic side.
Oh, really?
Separate fire department, but equal. You're straddling the Mason-Dixon line right there.
That's amazing.
Okay? They still don't talk to each other. There's still a lot of animosity. Okay? They show up now. They're one big happy family. Okay? But they show up, and who's going to be in charge? Well, there's some fights over that. City has to step in again. They say, okay, here's how we're going to settle that. This year, you guys are the chief, and you're the assistant chief, and next year, flip-flop.
Hey,
Okay? This went on to the year 2000. That's when the Civil War was finally ended in Newbern, in the year 2000. I'll show you that here in a little bit. So here we have everything separate but equal. We have their stairwell, okay? 2 different poles. This is the dress of the Button Company, the Northern Firefighters. That's how he would dress. Kind of looks like a Union guy. Okay, and this is the Southern side over here. Okay, and it looks like the
Confederate guy.
Confederate
Yeah.
uniforms. Okay, there's each of their charters. Here's the hat. Okay, the firehouse was actually set up by somebody from the Button Company, so that's why you see their equipment first. Even to today, okay? Step over here. And we'll get a look at some of the Atlantic's equipment. This is the Atlantic's hose wagon, okay? It was actually built next door, where you walk through our garden over there. There was the G.H. Waters Buggy Company was over there, okay? This was built right there. There's a picture of the wagon park outside. A unique history about Mr. Waters is this was back during the time of Henry Ford. He actually beat Henry Ford to motorizing the carriages. Okay, he built, I think there's 3 of them. Okay, but Ford got the upper hand on him by the assembly process. Okay, automating. And so, well, Newbern could have been the car capital of the world if they had come up with that at the time. But we have some other unique stuff they had. This is Fred. And this is Mr. Thomas, okay, Fred's handler. Early in our steam engine history, the first one was hand-drawn. They didn't use horses on that one Demoski that I showed you. It was hand-drawn. It weighed 6,000 pounds. So can you imagine pushing that through the streets of Newbern into a fire? When they bought the Button and Silsky that I'll show you around the corner over here, Newbern still didn't have horses at that time, but what they would do is they would pay volunteers that would show up with horses. First one got $5, the second horse got $2, and the next horse got $1, okay, for those hereafter. So the horses really were privately owned up until probably the 1890s, somewhere on that, where the city of Newbern finally bought some horses. But this is Fred. He pulled the wagon for probably 20 plus years. What we're denoting here is the harness system that he has. okay? You can imagine there's a fire going on, and you gotta get the horses in, get them saddled up and harnessed up and all that. Well, what they did was they came up with this rig here where they could hang it from the ceiling, okay? The horses got used to it enough that they would come in, they would hear the bells go off, they would back in here, they could lower it, cinch it up, hook, and they're at it, okay? Pretty you think about Fred and Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas died of a heart attack. 2 weeks later, Fred was en route to a fire alarm, a fire call, which turned out to be false. He died en route to them. So they died within 2 weeks of each other. Okay? All right, I'll step right here. You can look at some of our pictures we have on the wall over here of the Atlantic Company. Here's the building that I was showing you across the street with brick up windows. That was their firehouse. Okay. You could see being in the fire department was kind of like a social club. Okay, it was pretty. Everybody's dressed up, dolled up. But this is the actual wagon that you're seeing in there.
You just carried the hose?
Yes, just the same wagon, same type wagon. The Button Company's wagon was built in Raleigh. Okay, where this was built here in New Bern, like I said, right next door. Firefighters, they like to exchange patches. Okay, so this is the patches that firefighters have been through the museum have sent and shared with us.
Oh, cool.
We have every state in the union on the wall here. I think we have 30 plus foreign countries that have been through that have also shared patches that we sent to us. Okay?
Cool.
We're about full on this one, so we'll be looking for another. Where we're going to put the next board, I don't know, but somebody will figure it out. Something that's unique to this firehouse and the firehouses of that day is the hose drying racks that they had. If you notice when you leave out here, you see it looks like a chimney. It's right up there. The hoses were made of rubber, but they had cotton on the outside, okay, to keep the rubber from bursting. But you had to dry them after every use, otherwise they would mildew and rot. So that's why the firehouses of that day had the hose drying stations. Okay?
Do you have somewhere to hoist the?
Yeah, see the capstan right here?
Oh, okay.
Okay, this one's got an electric motor on it, but that's how you did it. Okay, with the cables that will go up, you plug those chains.
Typically, how many hoses is this one?
You know, I don't know on that one. I imagine quite a few. You can see there's at least a dozen in there now. It's not hardly filled up. Okay. This is actually Fred. We had him when he died. They actually had him stuffed. Okay. He was a full Fred, but they, I guess, decided they only needed the front half of him. Okay.
Probably a good.
Yeah, and if you noticed, firefighters were touching for good luck as they went out on the fire call, so they finally had to put him in plexiglass to keep Fred, with us today. Okay. Over here is a monument or a memorial or display of what New Bern's fire department is today. Okay. When they moved out in 1920, in the year 2000, okay, New Bern says, okay, Button Company, okay, Atlantic Company, we now have a fire chief. Okay, he's paid. Okay, we have captains, they're paid. We have firefighters, they're paid. We have a paid fire. We no longer have volunteers. Okay, the Button and Atlantic are still here today on paper. Okay, because of that charter, they don't want to lose that history. So there's a couple fellows that are still there, but they're not an actual volunteer big organization that fights the fires. It's these folks today. Okay, our main station, it's down on MLK a little ways. Okay, they moved out of here and moved into that station there. We have this one over in Glen Burnie's here, and this one's out in Bern. So our 3 stations so far, and some of today's apparatus. Behind you here is the Atlantic's steam engine. Okay. This one was probably a little bit better than the Amoski. Different type pump that will pump just a little bit more. Okay. The Atlantic Company started a tradition by naming their apparatus off of somebody that helped them. Usually, now historically, it's the mayor. Okay, the person who helped them was Elijah Ellis. He was the mayor at that time. When they got this, okay, instead of pulling this through town by hand, he donated 2 horses. Okay, so they named this in his honor. So today, fire apparatus that you see around town has a name on the side, and that was the name of the mayor that was in power in office during the time when the engine was built. Okay?
How long is this in service?
That's a good question. Let's see this. First in the 1850s, shortly after 1900. Okay? I served in 1915. There you go.
Okay, so like 65 years?
Yeah, and I'll show you what took its place.
Oh,
Okay?
Back to Fred. Fred is on the Roadside America page for New Bern. That's how I found out about this
Really?
museum. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Right over here on the wall, we have the plaques. The insurance companies I mentioned before. The insurance company will put, you buy your insurance, we give you a plaque, you put it up, you have a fire department shows up, you got a plaque. Life is good. We're gonna put the fire out if we're not fighting. Okay? No plaques? Sorry, we're back to the firehouse. I mean, talk amongst yourself of who's gonna put that out, because we're not doing it. Okay?
you think they'd have like a map and know which houses had the plaques so they wouldn't go all the way out there?
They did.
Oh, okay.
They already knew. They probably talked to people like, hey, we're not putting you out, unless you got one of these on there. So this is the only display in the fire department, in the firehouse here, that's not New Bern related. Okay. Our director of the museum is a retired fire chief from Orange County, New York. This was his personal collection, so he shared that with the museum. Okay.
What's the purpose of the ducktail on some of these helmets? Is that to keep water off?
Water and anything else that would fall, to keep it off your shoulder, keep you from knocking it down.
Okay.
It would roll off the back. And then the eagle up here is normally used to hold the leather emblem on. Okay, you can see a pretty good description on that hat over there.
Okay, cool.
Talking about our early fire notification system. Okay, this is the Gainwell system. Originally it's just, hey, fire, get the buckets, let's go. And then they started with church bells. Okay, so the church in that neighborhood would be ringing its bell like mad, and they would know that there was a fire to come help. We had 16 sawmills in the town. So the sawmills is a later development. With the steam, they had whistles. So they would use those also to note fires. Okay, and then they came up with this Gainwell system. These boxes would be on poles or something at a location. It wasn't a specific address, it was a location. Okay, you go there, oh, there's a fire over there. That's kind of how this worked, okay? See, there's a number on there, 244. It's kind of like a clock. There's a wheel in there that has notches on it. It has, there's 2 notches, and then 4 notches, and then 4 notches. So it'll tap out at 2, they'll pause, and then a 4, and a pause, another 4. And then a long pause, and then they'll do it again, and they'll go through three times. Okay, we'll show you what it announces to is coming up on that. I'll show you the enunciation. This device here, this was DC. This was powered by batteries. Okay, so during the day we had a trolley system that was also DC. Okay, so during the day these were powered by power for the trolley system, and the switchboard was used to charge the batteries. The trolley system at night would shut down, so they would unswitch it, take it off the trolley power and put it to the battery power here. So this is a pretty unique. I worked at Cherry Point for Cherry Point Fire Department, and we had these in service until probably the mid-20s, 2010, 2009, 2010, I think, when we finally decided to get into the 21st century with an automated box.
These boxes are throughout the town. Did they send a signal back to the central?
Yes,
fire?
yes, the
Okay.
central dispatch.
So then the dispatcher knows where.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly, which would have been here. Okay. Behind it, we have the Brower Life Day. Okay, this is the thing with cartoon fame when people are
Yeah.
jumping out of building. In fact, there's a picture of the fellow that they were practicing. You can imagine it was good up to 6 stories. Okay? Again, 16 firefighters holding it this level. Okay, and you can imagine a big guy like me jumping out of there, what that trampoline was like when it hit it. Okay. However, usually the first thing that came out the window wasn't people; it was furniture. Say grandma's table or whatever, you know. So this was used up and it was finally taken out of service in '83. When the fire rules, or it's called NFPA, National Fire Protective Association. Finally, the NFPA outlawed the use of this system because our ladders were now and hydraulic systems. We were able to get up to that level. That's why you don't see that anymore.
So this comes apart in 4 sections?
Yeah, it folds up. It folds and stowed on a tray.
Cool.
Those over here, we have our first female mayor, Ella Bengal. Bengals are very important family to New Bern. They've really taken the ball and run with what you see in downtown New Bern now. Okay, bringing it back, bringing the history of New Bern back, and bringing it to make it the tourist destination you see right now. Okay, they brought the Pepsi company, the Pepsi birthplace of Pepsi back, all that. So we're very thankful to Ella Bengal and her daughter is now sponsoring the show. We tried to get the truck in. This one was bought when she was there. We tried to get it on display and put it over here where the Silsky is, but it wouldn't make this turn. So the family owns it. It's in one of their warehouses over here, and they bring it out on parade days and stuff like that. As we walk up here, some more pictures. New Bern today. New Bern 20 years past. This is kind of the change that you see from industrial New Bern, okay, into present day tourist related New Bern. We're in the building right here. This building right here. Okay. What do you think they bought it for? Yeah, what firehouse? Of course. Notice the color it's written in. It's in. Okay? The North guy. Okay? 1915. Okay? They bought it for $1,500. $1,500.
How many got that?
That would pump 450 gallons a minute. This is 750. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's 1,000 gallons per minute. Okay? You walk around and see it's solid rubber tires. Exactly. These are upgraded tires for this particular one. Okay. I'll show you the original one here in a minute. Notice it's right-hand drive. This was built in America. Why do you think it was a right-hand drive? Why would they have the drive on that side? No, it wasn't because of Europe. Anything to do with it. Where's the fire hydrant?
Oh, right side.
There. So he can drive over here, line this up. The only reason for it, okay? It was chain driven. You see the gear down here. We don't have a chain. You're off to the races, okay? We're fighting fire, okay? There's no stopping it.
Yeah.
Okay? And I can show you some older extinguishers we have upstairs that also work on that same principle. So this was like, oh my God, look what we can replace 3 apparatuses and have something bringing water to us. Life is good.
So
Okay.
these are the original tires from 1915?
No, the 1915 was these. This one over here.
Oh, okay.
These were.
Just looking at the drag on.
Do you think the 19? Again, this was 1,000 gallons per minute pumper. Okay, this one was 750. So this one was used until what was it, 1923? Excuse me, 63. This was actually used in 63, basically for the pump itself. Okay. Back here we have the ladders. The The biggest one on the bottom here is a 50-foot spruce ladder. 50 foot. I don't think all 5 of us could get this off the truck. Okay? That thing's a boss.
Even with us big guys.
Even with us big guys, I don't think we could get that off the truck. So you can imagine what it took to get it off the truck, and it has to be held and stabilized, you know, for the firefighter to get up there. Okay? And one of the rites of passages of the new firefighters was they would get this out, put this up, run it up in the air, and the firefighter had to go up, climb over, and back down. While his buddies held it down here at the bottom. Sounds like fun. Back here we have a display of nozzles. And you've seen them. You've seen these nozzles around, so yeah, well, they're nozzles, whatever. You couldn't control the pumps on those, okay? The pumps will put out a 750 gallon per minute. So if you're close up and you want to fight a fire, you want a lot of water, you don't have to spray a lot of distance. So you would have this large diameter at the end, okay? If you want to throw it a ways, you would start narrowing down the diameters. And that's how they would control the stream of the water out on top of the fire. Okay?
So you can stop the water at the end of the hose to change the nozzles?
Probably at the pump.
Okay.
That's right there. You see that the valves are there to slow the water pressure down. All right, let's go upstairs. We'll talk a little more later.
Old men like me get hurt during fighting
Is it for a
fires.
fire involved? Nope.
It's because it's so high up. So
What was the mode of transportation?
Horse? Keep the horses from coming up here?
Horses were coming upstairs.
That's too funny.
This is where the cooking was going on. This is where they were living. Okay, so they had to keep, the horses can't make that turn. Okay, the horse gets his head around and his butt's hitting on one side and he stops because he can make the turn. No reason for it. Crazy, huh? who knew? Okay, so welcome. Okay, December 1st, 1922. It's a Friday. It's the day after Thanksgiving. New Bern is playing Sanford, North Carolina, in the state football championship of the state. Okay, it's being held in Raleigh. All right, so we have a train, a special train that they rented that's going to take the town residents to Raleigh for the day. Good deal. Cost you $350 round trip. Get to see the boys play basketball or football. Football's a big thing here in North Carolina. Okay, especially at the college or at the high school level. All right, so you can imagine how many people are on this train. How many firefighters do you think are on the train? Most of them.
Oh, really?
Most of them. Okay. Train departs 7:30. The Union Station, which our firehouse, if you have, train station is still standing. It's up a couple blocks up. Remember I told you we had 16 lumber mills. 8 a.m. at the city's largest lumber mill, a fire started. Okay, now I told you that the lumber mills also have their own in-house firefighting guys, but you can imagine, everything's belt driven, the saws are belt driven and big leather belts that run every place. Okay, probably a lot of sawdust in the air, of course. One of the belts hangs up and friction starts sparking. Next thing you know, we have a dust explosion probably. It's quickly out of hand. Okay, they're calling for help. Okay, just stand right over here. We'll talk about this cable here. Here we go. Rolling lumber mills right here. Okay, we're in that building right there. That's the firehouse. Okay, here's where the railroad station is. Okay, that they left out. This line goes down to Morehead City. Okay, this one goes to Havelock, Morehead City. This is the one that runs to Raleigh, runs to Kinston, runs up that way, still in use. This one runs to Little Washington, north of us, still in use. This one used to run to Jacksonville, Wilmington, down south. That line's no longer in use anymore. They've abandoned that line. So here we are, 8 o'clock, fire's building here, okay? Murphy's Law on the attack. Winds are blowing 55 to 60 mile an hour in this direction.
oh no.
Okay? Fire chief's got his brand new, well, they're not new at this point, they're about 20 years old, He's got his 1915 American LaFrance here, and his 1914 one probably over in this area someplace, and it's probably closer to this area. Fighting the fire, trying to keep it from spreading because of the intensity of the flames, you know, it would build out in this direction. They went to the railroad and says, hey, can you help us out? The railroad has there's a rail yard right here. They brought an engine in and some cable, and they started pulling houses down. Okay? We got to create a fire break, okay, to keep this thing from spreading. It was all well and good, probably till we couldn't use them. Okay, so they stopped. Fire chief asked for help from Little Washington, which is our next biggest town north of us, and they said that they would send a pumper down. They put it on a rail car and brought it in. It took them 3.5 hours to get here. He went to a city kind of northeast of us, Greenville, asked them. They said, no, we're not going to send anybody because of the winds and leave our town unprotected. We're not helping, not going to play. Went to Kinston. Kinston says, yes, we'll send a truck down to help you also. Due to the roads were dirt at that time, so it took them about 2.5 hours to get here. Okay. He went to the Coast Guard and asked for help from them. They sent a boat up here and was in this area here throwing water as far as they could, but remember 55, 60 mile an hour winds in this direction, they couldn't get too much. Not much help. Okay. So he's fighting limited manpower as best he can. Along about 10 o'clock, over here on Kilmarnock Street, okay, this area here, the poor black area, okay, where they lived. So you can imagine what their houses look like, okay, wooden shingled roofs, okay. They worked in the mills, okay, right here. So on about 10 o'clock, there's a fire up there. Well, he can't send his fire trucks. He's only got 2 that are here at that point. So what he does is he takes a couple firefighters and a hand extinguisher and runs up there and starts to fight the fire, but to no avail. He just, you know, with a hand extinguisher and probably the leather buckets they had, and they had hand pumpers still, the fire was out of control, going this direction here, okay? Residents were they were escaping, and they were going over here to Cedar Grove Cemetery. You'll probably get to walk through that. It's back up. You'll see it down from the fire station. I said, we're here, you just walk up and Cedar Grove's there. Probably a good time now. I think they're doing a ghost walk.
Okay. We did the ghost walk last night.
Yeah. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were evacuating Cedar Grove Cemetery. They were getting as much furniture and everything else that they could carry, and that was their kind of the rally point where they went to. The winds changed direction probably around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and started blowing in this direction. Okay, well, here's the firehouse, and here's where downtown is. So now the new line of battle is to let's make Queen Street the fire break. Okay, didn't have any engines they could use, and you could see that any of the colored buildings other than the black color were lost. Okay, cars started to grow over here. So what they did was over on this wall right over there, they used dynamite. Okay, to blow the houses down, to try and make a fire break. Well, look at that mess right there. That pile of kindling. And they weren't very successful in that. Okay. Along about 5:30, 6 o'clock, the winds finally laid down completely, and the fire basically burned itself out. Okay. So later that evening, this is from an actual picture. This is what this area up in here looked like. Okay. Anything that was combustible burned. Kind of looks like the little China fire that we had a couple months ago. Okay. The fire, I mean, you're talking 50, 60 mile an hour winds blowing fire. I mean, everything combustible goes. This is what we want. Okay. Several days later, the Army from Fort Bragg sent us tents. So each family was able to have, they gave each family 2 tents, one to cook in and one to live in. Okay. This was set up, it looks like it's around George Street here. I'm thinking it's in this area here, where this picture is taken from. Of course, poor black families, they've lost just about everything. Okay. They no longer have a job because the lumber plants are run. Okay, so Our tent city stayed up about 2 years, and those people just drifted away. They had no jobs, they had no homes, anything. They left. Okay. Army helped us with the tents. The Navy helped from Norfolk. They sent down some medical teams, some supplies, some cooking facilities. That's basically what they helped with. Okay. Surprisingly, they lost one person. One person died. And she was an elderly woman. And they had gotten her out. But she went back in.
Oh.
We don't know why.
We don't know what she went back for.
I don't know if it was their cat, dog, furniture or something that she wanted. We don't know. She's the only person we lost. About 3,800 people lost their homes and livelihood. Okay? Over 1,000 buildings burned. Worst fire in North Carolina history to date. Back to the football game, the way of communication at that time was newspaper. Okay? The Raleigh papers got wind of this fire and put out a special edition paper, and they were starting to pass it out at the football game. New Bern's coach, Randy Barton, saw this, right? I think I'm buying all the papers. People on all up. Because he didn't want football teams, okay, mind going back, what was going on back here. So they didn't know about the fire until they got on the train. New Bern did, however, win the football game. 6-0. They did win. They did win. 6-0.
I think if I was coming home to my house, not possibly not being there, I'd want to know.
Here's the train station.
Uh-huh.
And it was saved because I said they had the Royal Francis were set up. They were probably in this area. They were in this area fighting the bordering down the train station. It has slate roof. So the roof didn't catch fire. New Bern made a rule when after this fire that you could no longer have a wooden roof. You either had to be slate, metal, something like that. If you look at our roofs of houses that were built during that period now, you see most of them are metal roofs.
Key West does that too because the houses are so close together. So if there's a fire, it doesn't spread.
Yep. Okay. This is the chief's office. Okay. It's what color? Okay. Because the Southern the Atlantic Company, their colors were pink and white. Okay. Pink. That doesn't seem like a very manly color, but pink is the color of strength. So that's why they chose pink and white. Okay. This is all period correct. This is all the chief's equipment from that time when they moved in. Okay. On the wall we had all the fire chiefs from the Atlantic Company that served from 1922 on up. If you notice some of the dates, they served multiple times. That was because it was the time period and every other year they flopped. Okay. We have the porch out front there that they could go out and sit on. There's only one way to it though, through the chief's office. Okay. How much use do you think that porch got? The only other way is from the northern side over there, from the Button Company. How much mingling was going on out there on the porch? I don't think a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay. And this would have been their day room. Okay. They would have their chairs and stuff in here, tables, and probably the kitchen was on the other side of this collapsible wall that you see behind. Okay, move you over to the apparatus to the fire. So this is what a typical bedroom would look like. You can see he had an early part of the fire alarm system up on the wall. Got his phone and his phonograph record. Okay. There was another set of fire poles here, so he could come out of here and get down on the apparatus pretty quick. We took him out because we had that ADA compliant with the lift in, but there was a wall here. Okay, so we didn't talk. Okay. This is kind of the trophy room that we have. You can see the pictures from the time period. Okay, you can see the youngsters competing in the hose reel pull. Okay, here's the Atlantic's wagon. Okay, you can see the fella's just stepped off the tailboard. Okay, he's holding the hose while the horse races on. Notice none of the horse's feet are touching the ground. Okay, he's flying. Okay, but here's his time: 30 3/5 for the Atlantic Company. But New Bern, 26 2/5. Imagine there was a lot of hard feelings here in the firehouse when we got back.
Yeah.
Okay, you can see the different real teams and that we have. You can see it's just a fraternity, basically, type thing here. Over on the other side, we have what they were vying for, if you will. Okay, tea sets, coffee sets. Okay, when was the last time that you competed for a tea set? Never. But it was sterling silver. Yeah.
That's just funny to me. These guys, big manly men, doing these manly things, and then they get tea
And you
sets.
get a tea set for the firehouse.
Yeah.
We recently celebrated 300th anniversary of New Bern. So Bern, Switzerland sent a delegation over, and they brought us some of their things to share with us, a couple fire axes and helmets and things like that. And on the other side, we have an actual leather fire bucket that's hanging up there. And then you also have the communication system that they used at the time. There were no radios. So to be heard, they would use those trumpets there and yell into that. So the boss got the big one up there so he could yell the loudest and the furthest. And then the captain got the next biggest one, the lieutenant got the next biggest one. The snuffies down there on the bottom, they got nothing.
Yeah.
Basically got yelled at. Here's some of the earlier fire extinguishers. They're no longer in use anymore because you see there's no pins to pull or any of that kind of stuff. It was a bicarbonate of soda would be in a glass vial that's inside here, and it's filled with water. There's no handle or anything on this that operates. So what you would do is you'd turn it upside down, and that would mix. And again, like the Mentos commercial, you've got all that coming out. There's no controlling once you get that chemical reaction started. They're no longer allowed in NFPA, doesn't allow those anymore. We have the modern fire extinguishers, what you think of. So that's our collection of the older ones. We have a torch. There's basically a torch from the area they were lighting. A steam whistle off of one of the lumber dumps that was here. All right, we have another torch display there. Couch or whatever. She donated it to us, but firefighters understand they have to have their display, and what do you do with them when the family no longer wants them? We've got them. They can donate it to us. Okay. Then back out, you can take a peek at the period bathroom we have right. Could have been.
Germany's big on steins.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Displays are over there, but again, they didn't follow. They didn't. Very little communication.